When you do reports, you normally sit with reports like this, where you get your months in columns. So month 1 is in column C, month 2 is in column D, month 3 in column 3, and the fourth one in the fourth column. Now this sometimes is difficult then to generate reports, because if I want month 1 in one information, then I can get it. But what if I quickly want to summarize everything into a pivot table, for example? Then a pivot table won't work because my data is not under each other. So what people would normally do is they'll take month 1 and copy it somewhere, and then go take month 2 and copy it under it, and then month 3 and copy it under that one, and so on and so on. And then there can be up to 24 months, and it can take them the whole day just to do the copying function. And then every single month they have to probably do the same, because they need some other format or some other report that generates from this report, and it's just a mess. So the biggest problem that you've got when you do it like that is, firstly, if you work from reports, your assets, equity, liabilities is the same signage. So when your assets is debit, then effectively your equity is showing as a debit, but it's not really a debit. And even your income statement is just to make the report look better. So how do you convert this to a TB format? Now there's a few steps that you need to follow, and once you've built the structure, you can just always copy and paste it in. Where this becomes very powerful is, let's say for example you're doing budgets, and when your final budget report is always in this format, because I mean the guy that's in the field only understands this format, then you would have to extract that data to consolidate it somewhere. The only way you can do it is to get it under each other, because that's the best and most effective way to do reporting, and it saves so much time. So it is very powerful to use this steps. Now the first step is to create a mapping table. Now reporting always works with mapping, your normal type of reports or these type of reports. So let's get the mapping. So we're going to use the descriptions of our balance sheet and income statement. We're not going to take profit and loss because we've got the detail at the bottom here. So I'm just going to select all of them and say copy, and I'm going to just paste it there. So that's all my accounts. Then I'm going to number them from 1 to 25. We could have used our count A formula. We would just say count that. We fix the first one, and we just copy that down. So now we've got numbering there as well. The next step we want to do is we want to put a signage converter there. Because if we get everything under each other, we will need to test if it's all 0. And we need to have it in a TB format. And equity currently showing as debit, so we need to turn everything around. So we need to put some sort of a signage converter. So you can put, with the assets you just put a 1, and with everything else you put a -1, because when we multiply our amounts, we're going to multiply by this signage converter. So that's your first step, numbering and getting your signage converter. The next step is getting our headings in. So the first one I'm going to do is the numbers. Now we know we've got 25 numbers, so I can just copy this. For the first month we'll copy and paste it. Let's get the format right of that one. Then we need our accounts. So now this we can pull in with a VLOOKUP. I'm going to search for that number. I'm going to return the second column's information. So now we've got the account descriptions in. What we need now is the months. So how do we get the months? Now we need to create a mapping table for months as well. Now we know that we've got 4 months, so I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to take it there, I'm going to say paste special, and I'm going to transpose. So there I've got my months. Then I'm just going to take it a few columns right. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. I could have used the same count A formula there. So what we need to do now is we need to identify which month is this first account. So let's just add a column there. So now I can use my count if formula. I say count if, and I'm going to number this, because the first 1 to 25 will only be there once. So effectively we can use this 1 to pull in our month. So let's do a VLOOKUP. We're searching for that value in that table array, and now we've pulled in the months. So when we start copying down, the next time we will have 1 here, this will be 2, and then it will automatically change to month 2. So that's a nice thing to use. So now if we pull in the data now, so let's just do a normal sum ifs formula, because sum ifs is the best to pull in data. So our sum range would have been C, our criteria would have been our account description, that's where the criteria is, and that would be my criteria. So now this would be month 1. So now month 1 is in. But how do we get to month 2? We need to get an indirect formula into the sum range field to be able to pull in month 2. So we need to effectively have a column that says CC or DD or EE. How do we get that? Now there's a series of formulas we can use here. Let's start with the match formula. So first I want to see what's the column number of my month. So I'm going to say match. I'm going to look up month 1 in that row, and I'm going to find the exact match. So that will tell me that it's in column 3. Let's test that. 1, 2, 3. That's correct. Then I'm going to use the address formula. I'm going to say row 1. Doesn't really matter which row you use. I'm going to say use this column number which my match formula gave me, and I'm going to use 4 because I don't want dollar signs. So now it's telling me C, and that's correct, it is in C. Now I need to take out the 1, so I can use a substitute formula for that. So substitute, I want to go to that text, my old text is 1, my new text is nothing, and there we go. So now we've done that. Now it's just a matter of getting it in the right format, because we need to get to exactly that format. So let's just say that, and we put the double points there, and the C again, and there we've got it. Now we can use the indirect function. Indirect, this column. So it works. But we're not done yet. We need to convert this. Let's put here data TV. So now we need the VLOOKUP to tell it. How do we convert it? So we're going to search for the account number, and we're going to turn the third column. So this will give us our signage converter. So let's rather do this. Let's say signage, and then we take our amount times our signage converter. So if we did this correctly, this should be 0, because in our test totals the balance sheet did balance, so it's working. So now how do we get this down? Now there's only one manual thing. You can just say equals the top one there. All the other formulas you can copy down once. See, changes to month 2, and then you can take the whole row and just copy it down up until the end. Okay, so if it says not applicable, it's not finding it, because we only have up until 4 months, so we can just delete the rest. Can you see now? Let's test it. Everything should be 0, and there we are. So now we can easily do a pivot table, for example, out of this. Let's insert pivot table. We go there. It opens up a new sheet for us. We can say account, and let's put our data in there, and there we are. We can put our months in there. So it's a very powerful thing to do. So you can very easily now, if you've got 30 different budgets, just do the same sort of structure at the back end of this budget, even before you send it to the people. And then once you get it back, you just pull in this information. It's going to take you seconds to do. So first you get the mapping, you put the signage converter there, and then you map your months, you pull in your months, and then you do a few formulas to get your column. This works like a charm.